Hello. All right. Can you hear me? Is that working? Hi, Kate. Feels very formal today with the chair set up this way. Well, I think people are probably tired of seeing me. So low numbers today. Yes. That's really hot. Yes, that could very well be the case. But that is okay. Get situated here. They have the technology of like insulated coffee cups or tea cups is so advanced that it keeps your beverage hot for so long. But the problem is when you put it in and it's like 1,000,000 degrees, it stays really hot for a really long time. So anyways, the challenges we face in life, right? Well, I did. Yeah, I did. So we'll see. I'm not going to be able to feel the top of my mouth for the next week and a half. Well, I think we'll get started. Good to see all of you here in the GRA. Glad that many of you are joining us from home, or hopefully many of you, some of you, whoever is joining us from home. We're glad. It is cold out. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm still worn out from yesterday. How did everything go yesterday? Feedback?
The community act was really funny.
Yeah,
It was good.
yeah. Oh, good. I thought it was pretty fun.
And I don't remember ever seeing a true magic display
Uh-huh.
ever since I've been over 20 years old.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the magic show. It was fun. I mean, it's so, at the start I was like, I don't know, this is kind of silly, but I think it's fun to be kind of silly sometimes. And
Yeah.
it's fun to laugh. And there were a couple team members that I know had mentioned to me.
Take the pressure off a lot
Yeah.
if you can laugh about something.
Yes, laughing does alleviate some of the pressures of life, right? That's good. Yes, it was nice that they were able to involve some of the attendees. We got some very talented plate spinners here at the community. I had no idea. It was fun. Food I know wasn't, probably wasn't the healthiest of foods, but you can splurge sometimes, right? Yeah, it was after lunch. So yeah, I guess it was just really dessert, right? Good. Ice cream and churros. Wonderful. I'll tell you what, for me, it was, I really enjoyed the planning of it because for a number of reasons, but one, it was just fun to learn about some of the history of the community that really I didn't know. And it was also really fun to just, hear about whether there's things that I was reading or residents or family members or board members, mentioning things to me about the history of this community that, if I wasn't involved in this planning, I really probably wouldn't have known. There was a resident just this morning, and I think it's okay if I share. Jim, I apologize. I have not asked for your permission, but Jim Myers said, "Hey, trivia question about TLG." And I said, "Oh, let's hear it." And he said, "Do you know which resident, current resident, gave up their office at the church to make room for the TLG sales team before the community opened?" Does anybody know? Yeah, I didn't either. Gail Myers, Jim's wife. So she was apparently working over the church, and as TLG was, I don't know if they'd started construction or where they were in the process, but apparently they needed space for the sales team, I guess, at the church. And if it wasn't for Gail giving up her office for the sales team, who knows? We might not all be here today. So it was fun hearing, it's just so many stories like that. It was really interesting. I was having some communication with a few of the board members, trying to get a definitive answer on what was here on the grounds before it was the terraces. And yeah, and I'd heard orchards, but I had heard cherry orchards, I had heard apple orchards, I had heard who knows, any number of things. But a couple of the board members were able to confirm definitively that it was, as Shell said, walnut orchards, which I don't know about any of you, but I don't really like walnuts. But I now have a much greater appreciation for walnuts because of the connection to the terraces of Los Gatos. So anyways, I felt like it was a fun event. Is there anything for those that were able to attend that any lessons learned, anything next time we have a 30-year, next time we have, a big similar event? Somebody asked me, they're like, yeah, in 30 years from now, what are we going to do? And I was like, I don't know if many of us are going to be here anymore. Right? I don't know. What 10 years from now? No, any feedback though? Anything that not necessarily for anniversary celebrations, but just for parties and events in general? Any feedback of what we could potentially do differently or improve upon next time around?
The back of the program where you had the residents who had their food, that was really.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Yeah. So on the for those that are joining from home that maybe didn't hear, the feedback was that on the back of the programs, it was nice to see all of the residents as well as team members that have been here. I think it included everyone that's been here for over 20 years. Which, yeah, pretty impressive list. It was just going through that was fun, going through the planning process. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have been here for a long time, which is great. We have one with us right now, Miss Squire. Yeah. How many years? 20? Best 20 years of your life, right? All right. And it was I was glad we were able to honor Wazid. It's really, it is crazy to think he's been here literally since day one. And Yeah, somebody asked me, and I'm not going to venture into territories that I shouldn't venture into, but somebody asked me yesterday, they're like, how old is Wazid? And I was like, I have no idea. But and I was doing the math in my head, and here for 30 years, he's young. He seems, anyways, it seems like we could get another 30 years out of him, but I don't know if he's up for it, but anyways,
It has to be here for at least 10 years, because that's what my financial advisor says I'm good for.
okay. Good for at least another 10 years, says the financial planner. Well, that's good. I'm glad. Welcome.
Only one going on now, the state of the business or something?
Yeah, well, it's not technically the state of the business, but it's the community chat.
Okay, it's not, there's nothing upstairs going on.
Mm,
No.
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, they're not in the right place.
All right, well, we're glad you're here. All right, any other feedback from yesterday's events? Okay. The piano player is good, huh? Yeah, he is my nephew, actually. Yeah, he's 13 years old. Maybe he's 14, 13 or 14, somewhere around there. But yeah, we were looking for anyways, I asked him if he wouldn't mind providing some music at the intro, and a positive. Yeah, well, he was here, but his sister was here too. But what's that? Oh yeah. Well, yeah. But yeah, very really talented, and it's really funny because I had asked him if he would come up to play, and he gets really excited to dress up, and he actually got a new suit that he wore yesterday. He was really excited. And when he and his parents pulled up yesterday, we had a parking space reserved for him. And apparently when he pulled up, he got really excited. He thought it was so cool that he had his own reserved parking space. And apparently on the drive back home, he said, wow, that was my first professional piano playing event. Anyways, thank you to everyone that was there, and those that participated. Ruby, it was great to hear from you as well as you, Shell. So we appreciate it. All right. Well, what do you want to talk about? What's on your minds?
How about the traffic problem that the city of Los Gatos is trying to work out?
Ooh, good question. So the question is, how about the traffic problem that the town of Los Gatos is trying to work out? I have to admit, I am not an expert on what the proposed plans are. I don't know if anyone here is well versed and versed enough to give a rundown of what's in the works. Mr. Barish, I pass the mic over to you.
Just some background. We've been here 15 years. About 3 or 4 years after we arrived, there was a fatal accident at the park by the school. There was a kind of a makeshift parking lot pull-in, and a lady pulled in there. Sorry, it wasn't fatal. And another car, for some reason, swerved into the parking lot. And I think she lost 1 or 2 limbs over the circumstance. So since then, if you've gone to the park by the school, you'll see there's a pull off the street parking lot with a curb kind of protecting it. Some people in the midst of this traffic study noticed that that 4-inch curb is not really an effective barrier because the sidewalk is right there. That means there's cars parked behind off the street, but the pedestrians are immediately adjacent to the street. So that's one factor. Another factor is about 2 years ago, on the other side of the street, on the north side of the street, a car swerved off the road, and there was a person unloading. Sorry, can't take a call right now. I'll get back to you. Bulb in there. In front of the duplex houses that are on the north side of Blossom Hill Road, just across from the school and the park, there's a man unloading stuff from the back of his car, and a car swerved off the road, hit him, and that was a fatal accident. And that brought about a comprehensive traffic study with a lot of public interaction. I went to one meeting that was at Blossom Hill School at night, and there's an engineer that lives in one of those duplex houses, and he had a lot to say about the safety of the high-speed traffic on Blossom Hill Road. And how many of you are still driving? Okay. If you're headed west on Blossom Hill Road, coming from the east, the road's 2-lane, and then it branches into 4-lane, which for a lot of drivers is a signal to get in front of somebody else. It's just seems like it's a built-in thing. So people speed up where the road goes from 2-lane to 4-lane. If you're headed east on Blossom Hill Road, it's 4-lane, and it goes down to 2-lane when you get past the school. And that's the signal for some people to get in front of somebody else. So from both sides, there's a built-in response from drivers to go faster because they know there's 2 lanes down there, or they just got out of 2 lanes and they don't want to get snarled up again. Plus, at times, there's a lot of commute traffic I think in the morning hours headed east on Blossom Hill Road, and that's when school starts. And in the afternoon, there's a lot of people returning home. That's usually after school stops. So all those factors added up to a little background. If you go farther west on Blossom Hill Road, there's been traffic calming. If you are on Winchester Boulevard, there's been traffic calming. That's a euphemism for going from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. There's these green plastic bollards sticking up and a realignment of, in some cases, cars are parked in the street with a bike lane next to the curb. So all of that put together, plus the school congestion, and even with crossing guards, there's just a lot going on, particularly in the morning hours. And so the town decided to do traffic calming on this stretch of Blossom Hill Road that runs basically from in front of the terraces to where the road goes to 2 lane. And that means making it 2 lane in both directions all the time. And that excited a lot of people in a negative sense. So they don't want that to happen. While there's other folks who say a little inconvenience in protecting school kids is important. And of course, for Terrace's residents, anybody who lives on the north side of the campus, particularly the patio homes or the higher floors on the D&L building, can hear. And there are some people that don't have good mufflers on their cars and they like to make noise. And so that's all going on. And that's all I could say in a brief format.
Thank you.
And there was at least 2 prior meetings. And the body that acts at the grassroots level is called the Traffic and Bicycle Committee. And I happen to know a bicyclist who's on that committee, and he wants traffic calming, which is, he doesn't have anybody at school, but I think almost anybody that has someone in school wants traffic calming on behalf of the kids. And also, there's an awful lot of cars parked out there on Cherry Blossom Lane, picking up and dropping off kids. The streets don't align, and those are all factors.
Thank you for that explanation. That's helpful for me. So it would be going down from 2 lanes in both directions to just 1 lane in each direction. And is that all the way to the, oh, from Cherry Blossom down? That makes sense.
They estimate 5 to 10 minute delay at peak traffic hours for cars because it gets stacked up. Los Gatos Almaden Boulevard is an alternative route, and I'm sure anybody that lives over there does not want anymore.
Yeah. So estimated 5 to 10 minute additional delay during the peak times.
When you throw bicycles into the picture too, makes everything a little bit slower. I can remember as much as 20 years ago.
Let me give you
being
this.
I can remember about at least 20 years ago being on Blossom Hill and seeing a bicycle on the narrow part. And I would always think to myself, why on earth would that bicycle rider want to put their life to risk at that point? Because there is no easy way to get 2 cars and a bicycle on that 2-lane road. There is no side areas.
Yeah.
So that's a problem too.
I was concerned that at the juncture where Cherry Blossom narrows, that cars on Blossom Hill would like to turn onto Cherry Stone past our terraces area, because then they would escape that narrowing. And if they do that, then it's hard for us to get out of our parking garage and go down and turn on Cherry Blossom.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's our Cherry Stone. It's bad enough when there are school pickups.
Yeah.
But if they have continuous traffic on there, it's going to be a real headache.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a good point. It'll be interesting to see. So do we know if it's like, is it a done deal or is it still in study?
I think a 5 or 10 minute delay for a 1/10 of a mile is, personally, I find that unacceptable. But one of the things I've noticed, we've got stoplight after stoplight after stoplight. And I think each stoplight is the start of a drag race.
Hmm. Well, that's an interesting. You're right. Just like Mr. Veras, you were saying, when lanes become two or go down to one lane, it's the unexpected consequence, right, is people tend to speed up, and probably same with stoplights too, right? Because you want to be the first one off the line. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Just a quick comment. I thought that I saw on one of the diagram that I saw looked like it was from the stoplight at King's Court. So by Pete's, the stoplight there from that till after the Blossom Hills, the park after Blossom Hill School. So I thought that was the extent of the narrowing to one lane each way.
I don't know. Anyone know definitively? You think so?
I was
Huh.
with Victor just a couple of days ago, and we had this conversation. What did he think about it?
Oh,
Someone who drives every day in this area. And he says, well, they thought that whatever decision the city council comes to is going to be slower traffic for anyone trying to use Blossom Hill. And that would take a lot of the traffic off if you made it difficult for people. But then you just are relegating a problem to some other stoplight.
yeah, I think it's a good point. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see. Does anyone that's been involved or in any of the meetings know if they have a anticipated timeline of if they do move forward, when they anticipate construction, or to be determined?
Part of the decision process was a computer simulation that they ran with a whole bunch of alternatives. And then they picked the configuration they thought they would use, and they put traffic cones out and monitored for some period of time, including during peak traffic. So they've done a study and validated it by a simulation. And I think that I certainly don't know what the outcome was, but the minutes will be available probably early next week. So there's update will be available, and I'm really hoping that the terraces, not just the residents, but the staff take a look at it, because employees coming and going for shifts are a big part of the traffic load locally. And if it combines with the school, they already know about that and have maybe adjusted the shift changes. But it's going to be a factor for employees coming and going too.
That's a good point. Thank you. All right. Let's see. What else is on your mind? What else would you like to talk about? Any other specific topics on your mind? Mr. Clemmer?
One question. You had mentioned that you were working on the satisfaction survey
Yes.
and that you would make it public once the results are known and come up with recommendations and so forth. Has that been done, or is that coming up closely in the next few days, weeks?
Yeah, good question. So we are about almost finished compiling all of the results of the survey into a hopefully well-organized sort of presentation. And so I don't know if there's a date and time set for when those results will be presented in like a formal setting like this. But either through a formal presentation or just making the results available should be within the next 2 weeks. I'm gonna pass the microphone right behind you, back to Ms. Parrish.
Bradley, and things like the satisfaction survey and or the terrace's consideration for the traffic activity. I know that a lot of decisions are made by the directors on your team, but I'm wondering about the advisory board and their support for the traffic study awareness, because some of them have professional or personal interests in the community. So, and likewise on the satisfaction survey, when it's presented, I'm sure you'll get a lot of questions from the residents. But do you have a focus group of residents or someone on the residents council that's going to look at it before it's presented so that there won't be surprises in the questions you get?
Great, two great suggestions. And the short answer is no, but that's a great idea and we will. I hadn't planned on presenting it, the results. Well, I think I may have presented a very, very, very high level summary, a couple of points from the resident survey to the resident council. I don't recall actually, but that's a really good idea. To share the results with some of the CAB members and resident council members. If nothing else, to sort of anticipate what kind of questions residents and others may have. And I actually haven't had any conversations with any of the advisory board members about the traffic study issue. But that's a good idea too, because there may be some that are somehow involved. I know we have some board members that lived in the very close vicinity of the terraces that could be directly impacted. Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. Thank you for that. I'll connect with them on that topic. Good suggestion. What else? What else? Sharon.
Any progress with this new management position of Enlightenment?
Life
I don't know what
enrichment.
she's going to be. Is she going to be, he or she going to be a director?
Good question. So for those of you who may not be aware, what Ms. Roth is referring to is we are in, I guess the right word to say is transition of our in our life enrichment and activities programs. We made the decision that we needed to restructure our life enrichment and activities programs throughout the community, specifically for independent living and residential, or independent living and assisted living residents. We made the decision to bring essentially to bring our activities programs from assisted living and independent living under one umbrella, and have a life enrichment director. Title might change slightly, but a director level position that oversees all of the planning and the execution of the various activities, events, outings throughout the community. And then there would be several activities coordinators that work together to provide, to carry out the different activities and events throughout assisted living and independent living. We have been conducting some initial interviews for the director level position. And we were hoping to, I was actually hoping last week to move to the next phase of the interview process with some of the candidates. But then I was out sick, and then this week was scheduling wise, it didn't make sense. So we're hoping to move to the next round of interviews next week with candidates for the director level position. We're also simultaneously reviewing applications and conducting interviews for coordinator positions, activities or life enrichment coordinator positions. So hopefully by the end of next week, we've moved to the next round of interviews for the director position, and hopefully shortly thereafter, we will have some final decisions made. We've had some very strong candidates, which is encouraging. And we're also working with our human resources department to finalize exactly how the job description is written. And so it's because it's a new position for us. So HR has to do, they have to do their part to make sure that anyways, the job description is written correctly. So we're making progress, and hopefully within the next few weeks we'll have some formal announcements to make. Yes, Ms. White, I'll grab the microphone.
And talking with people at dinner time, several of the older members mentioned that they really enjoyed the tour of the kitchen. And I said, we could do that? So I was wondering, is it possible to set up a tour of the kitchen for people who are interested?
That is a really good idea. We did used to do those years ago. Did anyone take advantage of touring the kitchen before? All right. Was it valuable? Was it interesting? Was it?
Interesting, that's what I think, yeah. Oh,
Um,
I've only been here 2 years, so I can't say that I have any good history on it.
How did we do them before? Oh,
It was a sign up process,
okay.
and it's amazing because that kitchen is so tiny that it's amazing to see how many meals they can turn, what they do, 700 meals a day. And
A lot.
yeah, yeah. So it's worth doing.
How many people were in each group? I mean, were
I
they
think they
big
can't be
groups or were
big
they?
groups. No, no, it's too small.
Okay. And then who conducted the tours before? Do you remember? It's okay.
The chef or the dining room manager.
Okay. That's a good idea. I think we should
Yeah.
start doing that again. Well, it was your idea to restart it again. Take the credit. You deserve it.
Yeah, probably disappeared like a lot of things happened in COVID.
Yeah, a lot of things did. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I'll bring that up with the dining team and see if that's something we might initiate
Right.
after the end of the year.
I want to thank you for putting the automatic opener on the door there.
Oh, you're welcome. So it was,
Makes my life more simple.
yeah, that second automatic door, I think is
Makes a big difference.
does make a big difference. I did get some feedback this morning, though, that there was an issue that I think at nighttime, they switch off the automatic door so that it's not opening and closing. But then it doesn't always get switched back on in the morning. So we'll work on that. I don't know if that's impacted any of you. If it has, I apologize, but we're aware of it now and we'll fix it. Joe.
Maybe it would be an idea to, after you hire this new life care manager of activities or whatever, that they go back and look 3 years ago at the records, maybe in the RAG or wherever you keep records of from the social committee or something, to reinstitute some of the activities, because people forget.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good idea. And one of the things that I think we hope to accomplish by creating this new position is having a much a stronger connection between the life enrichment team and the resident council and the social committee and the various committees within the resident council. As we've sort of experience of when we have the activities coordinators, really all of their time and energy is focused on planning and executing the activities and events themselves. But to have that additional person at the director level, we really be able to work closely with the residents to make sure we're doing what the residents want.
So I just want to voice that I'm very concerned that the activities of the lodge and the assisted living, those residents need quite different activities than the independent living residents. I'm concerned that the lodge might be lost in the shuffle here. She left. Yeah. I'm hoping Joshua will apply to the new activities.
I just want to say, as chair of the social committee, we really miss not having an activities coordinator.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dana was the residential living activities coordinator, Dana Rango. Oh,
So
thank you.
I'll just try and be quiet. One, Bradley, I'd like to offer a very positive comment for the farmers market that took place earlier this month. It was here in the GRA. Did anybody else attend that? And I'm pretty sure the format, the merchandise that was available satisfied a lot of people. And Shara did a great job of crowd control. So, and before I start running the mic around, I wanted to ask about consideration for the Christmas meal and maybe the New Year's meal, because if we're going to have guests, knowing as soon as possible for Christmas, or if we're going to have carry out meals for guests, like was done for Thanksgiving, so people can make some plans. So, okay, that's my last.
Oh, but you're hanging on to the mic.
I'm giving it back so you can talk.
Oh, well, no, I've got one here.
Oh, great.
good.
Okay. My
Um,
lips are sealed.
and thank you for that. And I wanted to acknowledge, Ruby, your comment earlier. And thank you for that, expressing that concern about assisted living activities being lost in the shuffle. And I think really, and maybe we can connect about this one-on-one, but really one of the primary focuses of sort of the restructuring is to make sure that we're giving the attention that is needed to all residents of the community, but really in particular to assisted living. And we think that by having sort of a cohesive program with direct leadership for our activities coordinators, having the direct leaders, a director level person who was providing direct support to the coordinators, specifically focusing on the life enrichment side of what we do at the community. I mean, the goal is to make it so that those coordinators have the support that they need to be able to meet the needs of the residents. Ms. Squire.
When the architects designed this place, they designed the outside lights so they didn't shine up, didn't shine into your windows. And the corridor lights were very adequate and very pleasant. Then they put in the new system. It's very intense. They put all kinds of lights shining up into your windows. They're high thing, and some of them shine in. It's like having a high beam car shining into your apartment. Your ceiling is all lighted up from the lights. They said they would adjust that new system, but they never did. And all those lights shining up are spoil the effect of your terraces. And some of the people on some of the areas will have the lights shine in their bedroom windows, so it's very hard to sleep. And they should be adjusted. And you should consider the dark light initiative of some places, which was designed into this place and undone with that new system.
Thank you for mentioning that. And I know that that's been a topic that's come up before. And I will follow up and see if there's been any action on that yet to see what the possibilities are. And if not, we can make sure to pick that up to see what can be done. I know there's been some discussion about whether or not the lights that are out there are dimmable or not, which ones are dimmable, and if we can somehow,
Or making a heavy curtain to hang in your window.
I mean that,
A way to solve it.
yeah, that could be a solution as well. But
It's supposed to be adjustable. The whole system. You're supposed to be pretty less power into it, but we don't.
okay, I will follow up with our buildings and grounds team on that topic. Thank you for bringing that up.
My literature say that I need a dark, cool room to sleep in, and I'm right on the Esplanade, so near.
So you get the bright lights from
Yes,
the,
I get almost all of the light, yeah. It never is dark in there.
Yeah.
Or really dark.
what else is on your minds? Well, I will plug a couple of things since I've got a captive audience. The 15th, we're going to have a sing-along, a combined Hanukkah and Christmas, and possibly some other sing-along, Kwanzaa. The 15th at 3:30. Okay. I'm not doing a great job plugging it. I don't even know what time it's at. 3:30 on the 15th. Cindy, I think, and there have been other residents that are involved in planning that. Should be a fun time for all. And then following that, a couple of days later, I guess the next week, is I think this is the third time that we've scheduled to have John Cochran come and visit. And I think both times they've been rescheduled, it's been COVID related. I think one time the numbers were just going up everywhere, and so we weren't getting together in person. And then I think the second time, it may have been when I had COVID. So anyways, fingers crossed that everything's okay and we're able to get a visit from John in a few weeks on the 20th. And that's scheduled for 1 o'clock here. I think it's 1 o'clock here in the GRA. And then I think we'll also that'll also be available remotely as well. This Friday, just so everyone is aware, tomorrow, it's tomorrow, is our team member holiday party. And so there will be lots of team members here, possibly out in the Galleria, but mostly here in the GRA. That's tomorrow afternoon, I think between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So if you're wondering what is going on during that time, it's our annual party for our team members. So should be a good time. And we'll try not to make too much noise, not disturb the community too much.
And they don't want residents coming in if they.
Well, yeah, feel free to poke your head in if you'd like to, but I think those are the only things that I wanted to make sure to plug. Yes.
I have one question.
Yes, Elaine, go ahead.
When do you, oh, I don't need a microphone. My voice is so loud.
Oh, but then the people that are joining through Zoom, man.
Sorry,
it's
Zoomers.
helpful.
When do you think we'll be able to have guests in the dining room?
Good question. It feels like that's been an ongoing question. I don't know. I don't know. And I'll tell you, it is from a public health and a regulatory standpoint. We are currently okay to allow guests into the dining room. So ultimately, it's our own community's decision. And so, but we have been trying very hard to listen to feedback from residents and from residents' family members. And we've heard a lot of feedback that residents are very, very eager to welcome outside guests into the dining rooms. We have heard some feedback as well that they would really much rather not have outside guests over concerns of illnesses. So we're going to take a very unscientific poll of those that are here with us. Is at least those that are here with us in the room, would you prefer to, yes, let's bring in visitors to the dining room, even though it's going to elevate their risks? So
However,
if it's family, they should be allowed to come in. However,
we see a surge of COVID cases after each of the holidays. And I understand, I was not here, but I heard that Thanksgiving takeout was wonderful. And if that happens again, Christmas, even though I won't be here for that either, I think that it would be a safer bet.
okay. Anyone else have any thoughts? I mean, there's a lot of opinions on the topic, and to be honest, all of the opinions that I hear, I'm like, you're right. I totally understand. And it's difficult to figure out, where the right balance is. Okay, one comment: until COVID settles down again, I don't think we should. Go ahead, Mr. Joy.
Yes, 2 years ago, most radically, I did fall down twice. It wasn't my fault, but it did happen. And then someone suggested moving. I'm in a 1-bedroom now that I'm very satisfied with, very satisfied. And I would like to just stay there and just stay. That's what I'd like to do. Is there a problem with that, please?
We can connect on a one-on-one basis to discuss that situation. I don't know all of the details, but I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'll make sure that we follow up with you we want to make sure that we're doing what's best for you, and whatever that may be. So we'll follow up. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, please,
all
Michelle.
right, I'm going to say who I am for those that are listening upstairs and all. We don't always know who it is that's talking. So I am Marion Shane, and I'm coming a little late because I was watching what was going on. But we did have two people go to town hall and talk about the traffic situation. One was Doris Davis and the other was Angela. And both of them addressed the council and did a very nice job of doing so. They were very much against the change that was suggested in the trafficking, but they were not alone. There were about 4 other people that also talked about it and felt it was a negative kind of thing to do. One of them was a doctor and said that she had a terrible time pulling her car out because there was just so much traffic, and the change would make it even worse. And some of them that were over as neighbors were very unhappy with it too. The council did not answer any questions. They felt that was not the time to do it. So of course, they're going to take it under consideration, but there was no feeling as to where they stood on it. But I think this is an example of why we need to get involved with the town ourselves and not just sit back and expect things to go through the way we want them to. Some of you are so knowledgeable, and it would be great if you, when you can use this knowledge, come, because it's not that difficult a thing to do. It was great that we were able to have Victor drive us over. There weren't that many of us. There were just 3, but it was wonderful that regardless, we were able to get involved with the help of Terraces.
Great. Thank you for that information, and thank you for your involvement. Appreciate it. We've got 2.5 minutes.
As far as letting family and close friends in, I would think that starting January, we're not in a big, holiday season then. There won't be all these big get-togethers like there would be for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'm just hoping that starting in January, we'll be able to invite, my daughter when she's here and my son and his wife and in the dining room, So I'm hoping that changes.
That might be a good sort of compromise. Work through the busy holiday season where we're anticipating it. We're already seeing a spike in COVID cases in the greater community, and maybe we get through this period of time and then open it up. I think Ms. Taylor in the back had a question or a comment.
Just clarification, are assisted living members still guests?
In what sense?
In the main dining room,
In the main dining room?
yes.
Um,
Up to this point, we are separated from that in the sense of coming to the dining room. If somebody invites us, we are allowed to come. But at one point, I think we were, yes, Ruby, do you have clarification on that? with somebody. Okay, that clarifies the answer to my question.
Oh.
And there's one more thing. The pictures that are being shown here on the screen just before you come into the main dining room, they're wonderful. They're a recap of who we used to be and of people of earlier time periods. I don't mean ancient. Up in the main, no, in assisted living, most of us are so familiar with the people that are shown on those screen displays. Can we not have that upstairs or in the main dining, second, in assisted living?
I don't, are these the pictures that are shown across the hallway as you exit the main dining room?
Correct,
Right-hand side on the back wall?
correct.
So the
Uh-huh.
question is, can those pictures that are being shown there be shown upstairs?
That's correct.
That's a good question. I actually don't know where those pictures come from or who manages them, or how the system works, but if we can do it there, I don't see why we couldn't do it upstairs as well. So I will check
Okay.
on that. And then
Thanks.
also, thank you for your question earlier, just to make sure everyone heard and those that are joining us remotely heard. For assisted living residents, assisted living residents are able to make reservations in the main dining room at any time on their own, and they don't need to be guests of independent living residents. Mr. Joy.
Yes, my name is Wilkes Joy. 2 years ago, I did have a fall problem. And I will say that I have not had any problems since then. We're in a 1-bedroom unit and we are very, very pleased. I underline very pleased, just stay, and we just want to stay there. I hope that's all right.
Thank you for letting us know. We appreciate that, and we'll follow up with you. On that note, thank you all very much for being here, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Yeah, 3 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Help me stay awake.
Well, you're welcome, I guess.
Okay. One comment I didn't want to bring up. I had kind of a dialogue with Charmaine.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to figure out